Hi everyone, Sheehan here. That's what she said. Hope you are all doing well and enjoying this beautiful Memorial Day weekend. It has been a while since I last came to you, and my expectation was to do at least one video update per week. But unfortunately, I wound up having quite a setback that wound up changing all my expectations and knocking me back a bit. And so, unfortunately, I haven't been able to keep you updated as I wanted to because it's sort of like one thing after the next. And although I may physically look good right now, it's because I have this wig that I was gifted by Martino Cartier, who owns Wigs and Wishes in Washington Heights, as well as Martino Cartier Salon. And I have these beautiful earrings on that I was gifted by Allie Kirpatrick, and I just wanted to say thank you, Martino, and thank you, Allie. These earrings that she sent me, she handmade, and they're made with green calcite, which helps fight illness. And I'll talk a little bit more about them, as well as my wig, in a little bit. I wanted to catch you up first. So the last time that I talked to you was May 19th. And I was just about to have my third round of AC chemo. So I will be having 4 rounds of AC, 4 rounds of Taxol. And what wound up happening to me was I wound up having such a major setback that was completely unexpected afterwards. So last time I came to you was March 19th. I had my third AC chemo 2 days later, then followed by the Neulasta patch the next day. And at that time, Dr. Mehta expressed to me that I may be having my last period ever, which kind of hit me. I just sat there kind of numb when I heard the information, but then later as I was processing, it got me upset that, it really could be my last period. And Mother's Day was coming up, and it's just, being about 40 years old and always wanting to be a mom, I just, it's tempting to think that I may have lost the chance. But luckily, I was able to do fertility egg retrieval in November with Dr. Check, who is an amazing physician. So they were able to retrieve 11 eggs and successfully freeze 9 of them. So in the future, if I were to not even be able to bear a child, I could potentially have a surrogate, which, breaks my heart because I always wanted to have my own kid, but I feel like going through cancer, it's been one piece of letting go of what you want and what you expect after another. I wanted to breastfeed, thought I could just have one breast. Then it wound up being in both, letting go of that idea, and then just letting go of the idea of even bearing my own child because of the estrogen-driven nature of my cancer. Just, it could consume you. And I'll be honest, there's some days when I'm not feeling well, and it does. So luckily I have those eggs frozen, and I also know myself that I would be a great mom whether I adopted a child. It doesn't have to be my DNA, or even if it were to be a bunch of fur and feather babies. I love animals, so rescuing is also a passion of mine. That's how I have to look on the bright side, and I also have to have faith in my heart and know that God wouldn't put all of this love and intention and knowing that I will have this family and love that I want in my heart if it wasn't going to be there. So I have to stay focused on faith. But on that day, Dr. Maida gave me that news, and it was just, to me, like, oh, great, just icky. So I wound up having chemo symptoms, the usual extreme nausea where I actually vomit, and don't do well for about 7 to 10 days. And after that, on March 28th, I had my fifth fill from Dr. Fahey, and she had planned on doing one more after that in April. But the fifth one was on the 28th, and that actually wound up being my final one because I canceled the one on the 28th. Then on the 29th of March is when my mom took me to Martino Cartier's salon, and I was able to get this beautiful wig, which it was a wonderful experience. I have to be honest with you, I was apprehensive because first of all, I had a prescription that said cranial prosthesis, and I just felt like, really, do I need this? I felt like, do I need this, or am I just okay being bald and wearing the caps? And then I said, stop overthinking it and accept the gifts in life. You know, I had donated my hair to the Wigs for Kids, so now I heard about Wigs and Wishes with Martino Cartier and the fact that he would give me a wig free, and why not just accept it? So I went for it, and you'll see, it was an amazing experience. I thought I would be trying on 1,000 different wigs, but my consultation with him, I wound up showing him a picture, and it was a girl with a, bleach blonde hair and really kind of tight curls. And Martino said to me, he said, honey, I will let you do a beachy wave, but I will not let you do a 90s perm. And he said to me and my mom, come with me. And we went with him. He sat me in his chair, and he came back with one wig, which was this one. And I just think he hit the nail on the head. I love it so much. It's fun, it's easy. It's what they call a lace front, so it really looks like it comes out of my head. Now, the unfortunate thing about this beautiful wig is that I just haven't felt really well enough to go anywhere and wear it. But I do want to thank Martino Cartier, Wigs and Wishes, and I'm going to put a link below because we can help raise money for them as we did for the Wigs for Kids. Sorry for me getting confused, guys. Chemo brain is real, and it's something else that I want to talk to you about as I go through the story more. So now what I want to do is take the wig off and just talk to you bald like I have been, so you can kind of get more of an idea of what the reality of what I'm feeling like is. And yeah, you can just actually see me and how through the last cycle of Taxol I began losing my eyebrows and eyelashes. They're almost all gone, but we'll get there. Let's continue down the line of this road. So I had my amazing appointment with Martino at the end of March, and my final fill with Dr. Fahey. Then on April 2nd, I went and I had my blood drawn in the morning, and I started feeling kind of achy and just icky. Almost just like something was coming on, but not quite sure what, because with chemo, you're not feeling great anyway. So I went and I had my blood drawn, and I knew something was wrong because the blood draw is only one block away, and typically this is at the end of my chemo cycle. So I'm usually feeling better. These are usually my 2 good days, but I didn't even feel like walking a block away. So that was my first inkling that something wasn't right. Then I wound up coming home and just falling asleep and passing out. I woke up around 11 o'clock at night with about 101.8 108 fever. So I wound up calling the hotline that you're supposed to call if your fever's above 100.4. And I'm not sure if it was a resident on call, but the physician on call for the oncology department told me, because it was the end of the cycle, he thought I would be okay for the night, that I should take Tylenol and see how I feel in the morning. He said if it were earlier in my cycle, he'd have me go right to the ER. But being that it was at the end, he thought I was safe to stay at home. So I wound up waking up around 1 o'clock in the morning, and I had 103.9 fever. And I just felt like I was absolutely dying. It was terrible. And I felt confused too. Like I didn't know quite where I was or what was going on. All I knew was my fever was insanely high, not coming down from the Tylenol, just getting worse. And then the next thing you know, I wake up around 9 o'clock in the morning and still my fever's the same, high. And I just felt complete mental confusion. Like just, I didn't know where I was, what was going on. I knew I had a high fever. I knew I had to call the PA. The PA actually called me because she saw that I had called the night service. But I just was out of it and completely confused. Next thing you know, cut to around 2 p.m. when I actually come to consciousness, and I immediately called the PA, and she wound up calling me back within an hour. But in the meantime, I talked to my parents as well, and my mom wound up coming right over to my house, and my dad said, okay, we're gonna take you to the emergency room up at Cooper. In the meantime, the PA called back and said I had to go to the emergency room. So I wound up having my dad come over and drive me up to the emergency room, and I was really sick in the hospital. I started vomiting on the floor all over the place, not even able to hold it in time to find a receptacle. I had my blood pressure drop all the way down in the 70s, and my lab work started coming back really, really low, like actually incompatible with life. So they redrew it, and it still came back. My hemoglobin was 4.7. The first one was 3.7, then it came back 4.7, and they decided to transfuse me because I was septic and needed a blood transfusion immediately. My fevers still weren't coming down. I wasn't able to keep anything down. They immediately, at Cooper in Camden, the ER was fantastic. They just started treating me. They started giving me different antibiotics, treating me for the flu. They didn't know what I had. It was really like a medical mystery at the time. But nonetheless, they treated me like I was in shock and septic and dying, and I was. And it's crazy. It turned out that I had mycoplasma pneumonia, which then caused a cold agglutinin anemia, which is hemolytic, which means it destroys the red blood cells. So my hemoglobin really was very low, and I needed the transfusion, and I was nearly dying. The doctor said not from the blood, but from the infection. So it's a good thing my dad took me to the hospital, but I wound up being admitted and staying for 6 full days. And gosh, I'll tell you, it is really hard to heal and be in the hospital. Every 4 hours I had to have a nebulizer breathing treatment. And then, you know, they're coming in to do your vitals and to give you medications and to have different doctors and residents come in around the clock. And because I've had all my lymph nodes removed from the right side, I can only be stuck and have my blood pressure taken from my left side. So I was just stuck 1,800 million times. I had 2 IVs in me. And I think maybe the worst part about it was that I had to have 6 bags total of potassium ran in through my IV. And it's crazy. We take potassium so much for granted, but if your potassium gets too low, you can have an arrhythmia, and which can lead to a heart attack. So I was not messing around, and because of my medical background, I know these things. So I just gritted and bared it, and you know, the first day they told me I needed to go through 2 bags, and I thought I hit the finish line, and the next day they said, no, we need to do 4 more. And it was just like being hit with one thing after the next. And I was very emotional. I'm blessed that I had my dad with me every single night, except for one night. My mom did come and stay with me on Saturday night. I'm just blessed to be able to have family there, because I don't think I would have been able to go through it alone. I mean, at one point they were doing my blood pressure as they were giving potassium, and they didn't stop the potassium, and I actually started convulsing, and my dad had to get the nurse because it was a tech who did this by mistake, unknowingly. And I started convulsing, and they had to stop it right away because my arms swelled out, and then I started having patches of red everywhere, and I started screaming when I realized and came to consciousness. And it's just because they tightened the blood pressure and were infusing the potassium, and it was too painful, and I had a allergic reaction to that. Anyway, y'all, it was HE double hockey sticks to get through. And so I was there in the hospital from April 2nd to April 8th. 6 days later, I got discharged. And 2 days later, they had me see Dr. Maida again, which I was upset because I just wanted to stay home and stay in bed. I was so tired, and I just dying to heal, dying to just get some rest and not hearing beeping noises constantly. Although I was really blessed to have a huge room at Cooper because I was on isolation. They had to wear masks and gowns and keep me away from all patients. So I had a private room with just windows on both sides, which was really helpful for me because, as you all know, I just need nature. So the windows helped. But I really skated a bullet. Is that what the saying is? I'm saying things awkwardly now. The chemo brain, which I was about to describe, how real that is. It has amplified my dyslexic tendencies that I would have infrequently now are happening very frequently, where I say words backwards and crisscross things, and that, or I'll just say the entire wrong word altogether. My brain, it's really hard to come up with the right articulation, which is not something that I'm used to. And trust me, I have been trying to get this video out to you for the past month, but I haven't been able to articulate. I haven't been able to just have even the energy to come to you. So it's taking a lot for me to even do this now. And it's been so important for me to give you an update because I've been receiving your prayers and your messages and gifts. Like this one from my Aunt Ruth, it says, amazing message inside that says, keep effing going. So I can wear that and remember that, as well as this beautiful quartz necklace from my friend Paige, who's my partner in goodness. And she also has been bringing me flowers every week now that I've been sick and not been able to help her bring flowers through Crops, her nonprofit organization that I'm blessed to be on the board of. The earrings, like I said, from Allie Kirpatrick. What's super cool is she also sent me celianite, which clears the energy that the green calcite retains, whether it be healing energy for me or negative energy that I could pick up from others. It's a clearing stone. So it was so thoughtful and cute that she even sent this piece to me. So special. My friends are just constantly reaching out, and I even had a neighbor that I don't know come and bring me flowers the other day and just say, I just want to introduce myself to you. So it's just beautiful how God is showing me why I need to keep holding on and introducing me to new earth angels every day, no matter how hard this gets, because it truly is a battle. Yesterday, I couldn't get out of bed at all. I was experiencing, sorry, be strong for you guys. So yesterday I was just sweating and felt exhausted and couldn't get out of bed. All day, all I wanted to do was make this video to communicate to you guys. And the fact that I was unable to do so was really upsetting to me. But going to go inside and talk to you because my neighbor is about to walk by with a very noisy toy with her kid. So anyway, I've been wanting to get this message out to you, but the fact that I've been having chemo brain and I haven't been feeling well, it's like every day, no matter how hard I try, even though it seems like it's a simple thing, I just haven't been able to do it. So I apologize to you for not being able to communicate to you. Those of you who have been sending me messages and I haven't been able to respond, I just want to say thank you and I love you. And I've been getting your messages. Sometimes I forget just who I responded to. A lot of it has to do with the frame of mind I'm in when I receive the message. Just to give you an example of chemo brain, like the other day, I watched my neighbor take my trash can from out front into the back of the house for me. I went outside and I thanked her. 15 minutes later, my dad was picking me up to take me to chemo, and he texted me, "Hi Goose, I'm here." And I responded back to him, "Oh, thanks Dad. Do you think you could take the trash cans around the fence, around the back for me?" And so he took them. I didn't specify out back. I'm sorry. I said, "Can you take them out of the fence?" So he took the trash from the back where my neighbor took it and brought it out front of the fence. And then when I got out front, I saw the stuff and just figured maybe my dad didn't get the text yet. And I then took the trash can out back again. And my dad was like, "Goose, what's going on? You just told me to take the trash can out back." And it's like, that quick. I actually forgot that my neighbor had taken my trash out back. And I literally asked my dad to do it again. It's just, that is chemo brain. It's like, it's very confusing. Saying things backwards, thinking things backwards, and then just on top of not feeling well. It's really hard to make videos and communicate when you're feeling this way. I mean, I certainly have been feeling depressed. When Mother's Day came, that was hard for me, because, again, I want to be a mom, and this is happening to me at age 40, not age 30. So it's tempting to want to lose faith, but I refuse. Rather, I rejoice. And we had a wonderful Mother's Day with my mom at Doc's place. So I've been still going to breakfast with my dad and brothers every other weekend on Sunday, based on my chemo cycle. And then
the weeks that I have chemo, they've been bringing me breakfast, which is really nice. So because of my hospitalization, my chemo got pushed back 2 weeks, and I wound up having my 4th round of AC on, let me get this straight, April 18th. So being that I had a 2-week break, my hair actually started growing back a little bit in some places. And I just started feeling a little bit better. And then I wound up having to have chemo again. So no unusual circumstances or things happened that round. But when I did see Dr. Maida is when he told me then that they had figured out the occult agglutinin anemia and said that they just have to keep a close eye on me and my labs and make sure if I get sick at all that they run extra lab work on me. So I seem to be through the woods of that, even though knock on wood, you never know. We have to keep a close eye. I still have been coughing a little bit from the pneumonia, but it does seem to be getting a lot better. So from there, I wound up having my first round of Taxol May 2nd. And, I had, all I can say is that it's pretty close to the same symptoms of the AC. Some people said it would be a little bit better. I find it to be sometimes a little bit better and sometimes a little bit worse. For example, the first round of Taxol, I didn't vomit. But the second round, I vomited a lot. So it's unpredictable. And in terms of pain, I've been having bad joint pain. And still about the typical 10 days of not feeling well. So then I was blessed to be able to go to my brother Jeremy's graduation from Rowan. And I just want to congratulate Jeremy and say, woohoo, you did it. I'm so proud of you and I love you. And I can't wait to see all that you achieve. You give me a reason to live. You are one of the many reasons I have to live. So thank you. I love you. And thank you for walking because I know you didn't really want to. Sorry, I have like tears running down snot nose. But it was great to see Jeremy graduate. It was so awesome. And then we had a family dinner at Tomatoes afterwards. And then on May 16th, I had my second round of Taxol. Just making sure I'm keeping everything together because I am a bit confused still. Yeah. So that was my 6th chemo, May 16th. Was my 6th chemo, and which was my second round of Taxol. And I would say that is when my eyebrows and eyelashes started falling out. And on May 18th, which was 2 days after, I wound up having probably the worst chemo symptoms ever, where my head hurt straight up, fire in the back of my head. I was vomiting. So then every time I was vomiting, it was making the headache more unbearable. I wasn't able to take any pain medicine or keep anything down, fluids down. So my body had a really, really rough time handling this last cycle. Like I told you, yesterday was hard for me. And I just can't wait to be through this. Guys, I have 2 more rounds. That's it. It's going to be May 30th and June 13th. And then I will be complete chemo. Woohoo! I can't even believe it. So I'm not out of the woods. I'm close. It's funny. 1 week after my last chemo, we'll be celebrating my 40th birthday on June 20th. And then I will be starting radiation 1 month after I'm done chemo. And next Tuesday, I have my counseling session with the radiation oncologist, and she's going to tell me the whole chemo plan. I think it's 30 treatments in 6 weeks, 5 days a week, something like that. But they're going to do the whole right axillary area and right arm because it was in my lymph nodes. And the last, sorry guys.